$550,000. That's what the bank told Mark he can afford. And it's the most dangerous number he'll ever be handed. But the dangerous part isn't this number. It's the number that should be on this letter, the one the bank never calculated, never printed, and never once mentioned to him. It's signed. It's official. It looks airtight. And in about 4 years, one envelope is going to land all at once and make Mark regret this number, while everything still looks perfectly fine from the outside. Because the approval was never what Mark can afford. The approval is just the bank's bet that he won't stop paying. Watch what that one missing number does to the next 20 years of his life. Not all at once. First, slowly, one bill at a time. Then, one day, all at once. Two guys, same salary, same job, same approval. The same exact 550,000. Mark believes the number. His friend Alex doesn't. Remember that, because in 20 years it's the only difference that mattered. Mark makes $90,000 a year. Good job, no crazy debt, decent credit. Walking in, he'd guessed he'd qualify for a normal, sensible house. Then the letter lands, 550, nearly double what he pictured. And just like that, the bigger number quietly becomes the new normal in his head. But here's the number nobody handed Mark. The amount he can actually live with, payment, every real cost, and still room to breathe, is closer to $280,000. Same man, same paycheck, nearly 300 grand apart. One was printed and celebrated. The other, the bank never even calculated. So how can two numbers, same man, same paycheck, land nearly 300 grand apart? Because the bank and reality are doing completely different math. The bank looks at Mark's paycheck and asks one thing: how much of this can go to loan payment? That's it. It circles the whole check and works backward to the biggest house that fits. But your paycheck was never all yours to spend. Real life takes its cut first. The taxes that come with the house, the insurance, the upkeep, the retirement you're supposed to be saving for, the groceries, the emergencies, the actual living. Peel all that off, and the slice that's truly free for a house is a lot thinner than the bank pretends. 550 is the number when nothing else exists. 280 is the number when your real life still does. Same paycheck. One version counts your whole life. The other counts none of it. And you have to understand what that bigger house feels like from the inside. Mark walks it, and it isn't square footage. It's a life. Room to host the holidays his apartment never could. A yard for kids he doesn't have yet. The quiet, private thought almost all of us have had standing in a place like this. I finally made it. This is the house that says he's arrived. To his family, his friends, himself. And that feeling doesn't sit next to the number on the letter. It sits on top of it, pushing. So when the bank says he can have it, he doesn't hear a warning. He hears permission. And Mark does what almost all of us would do. He looks at that official number and thinks, the bank ran the math. They do this all day. If they'll lend me 550, then I can afford 550. That one sentence, that one act of trust, is the entire trap. We'll come back to it. So let's talk about what that approval actually measures, because it's not what Mark thinks. The bank runs one calculation and asks one question: will Mark keep making the payment? That's the whole test. Not whether he can still save for retirement, not whether he'll have anything left when the furnace dies, just will the check clear month after month for 30 years? And here's the line that should stop you cold. Brutal once you really hear it. Your rent is the most you'll ever pay in a month. Your mortgage is the least. Rent has a ceiling. A house has a floor, and the floor only rises. That's what approved really means. It was never the bank saying you can afford this. It's the bank making sure that if everything goes right, it gets paid. His emergencies, his weekends, the life he wanted to build inside that house, none of it is on the form. And the payment he's already celebrating? That isn't even the expensive part. By year 2, the first small bill lands, and it's only the warning shot. That's next. Mark buys near the top of his approval. Not the full 550, but a $500,000 house. Close enough that it barely matters. The day he signs, the payment feels fine. Manageable. He did it. Then, the silence in that letter starts sending him bills. Year 2, the first envelope shows up. His property taxes went up. Not because he did anything, but because taxes aren't fixed. They get recalculated every single year as the house is reassessed. The number he agreed to at closing isn't the number he keeps paying. It only ever climbs. And nobody sat him down and showed him that curve before he signed. Then there's PMI. Because Mark put 10% down instead of 20, like most real buyers, he's paying about $180 a month in private mortgage insurance. And here's the quiet insult of it. That money builds him zero equity. It exists to protect the bank if Mark ever stops paying. He is paying every month to insure the lender against himself. Then the house itself starts asking for money. A new owner never budgets for the things that break, but they break anyway. The water heater, the gutter, the little repairs that don't feel little when the bill lands. This is the cost the excitement of moving in completely hides. And it keeps going. There's the furniture for rooms that sit empty because there's nothing left to fill them. The utility bills on a house this big, more square feet to heat, to cool, to light every single month. And the quiet, constant pressure to live up to a $500,000 house. The pressure that turns into just one more purchase. Then another. Watch the breathing room Mark thought he had. It shrinks and shrinks. Add every one of these up. The taxes, the PMI, the upkeep, the life he can't live, and you finally see the number the bank left off his letter. Not 550, 280. That was always the real number. And there's still one cost left, the kind that doesn't creep in a few dollars at a time. It arrives all at once, and it can erase an entire year. So right about now you're thinking, obviously Alex wins. He bought the smaller house. He's the responsible one. Easy call. Stop. If you've already decided that, if you've already crowned Alex, then you've just made Alex's mistake. Because Alex has a hidden bill too. His just doesn't show up in dollars. Every time a neighbor's place jumps in value, every time someone at work mentions their bigger home, Alex feels it. That quiet voice asking if he played it too safe, if he bought beneath himself. That doubt is the real cost. It just never lands as a line item. This was never a story about which choice wins. It's about which blind spot gets you. And before anyone thinks this is turning into an anti-house video, it's not. Owning is genuinely powerful. Mark put $50,000 down and controls a $500,000 asset. That's leverage. And when the whole thing appreciates, he earns on the full value, not just his down payment. Nobody here is dumb. Mark isn't dumb. The house isn't the villain. The approval letter was. And here's the bill that finally proves it. Then, around year 4, the envelope from the very beginning finally arrives. The one we told you was coming. The story you've heard 100 times. Middle of summer, the air conditioning just quits. Dead. $8,000 to replace the whole system. All at once. No warning. No $8,000 sitting around. So it goes on a credit card. And now, the interest is quietly costing more than the repair itself did. One system, one bad week, a whole year of progress, gone. And here's what the big house did to Mark. Stretching to buy at the top of his approval ate his safety cushion. There was no reserve left after the down payment. So, Mark is that story waiting to happen. One dead furnace, one leaky roof, one surprise away from the credit card. The bank approved the mortgage. It never once asked whether Mark could survive the first thing that went wrong. Year 3. Mark looks like he won it, hands down. The bigger house, the nicer street, the place people compliment when they visit. And if you stop the tape right there, you'd bet on Mark every time. Alex's house is smaller, plainer, easy to feel a little sorry for. But the race isn't 3 years long. It's 20. And the thing that decides it is already happening. You just can't see it yet. Year 10. Mark's house is worth more now, sure. But every month for a decade, the money Mark poured into taxes and PMI and repairs, Alex has been quietly putting to work somewhere else. Same paycheck, different destination. Mark fed a house. Alex fed an account that grows on its own. And by year 10, that quiet gap has stopped being quiet. It's compounding, month after month, into something Mark can't catch up to from the curb. Year 20. On paper, Mark looks house rich, real equity, a valuable home. So why does he feel broke? Here's the answer the letter never gave him. All his wealth is locked inside a house he still has to feed every single month. He can't spend it. He can't breathe with it. He can't touch it without selling the roof over his head. Alex, the gap he invested every month quietly grew into six figures. Liquid, his to touch, money that doesn't send him a bill. When something breaks in Alex's life, he writes a check. When something breaks in Mark's, he borrows against the only thing he owns. Mark owns a number on paper. Alex built a life he can spend. Same salary, same 20 years. One difference. One of them believed the letter, and one of them didn't. That's the whole race. That's what was being decided while everyone was busy admiring Mark's house. So before you ever trust a number like that, ask the two things the letter never will. What did the bank leave off my letter? And after the payment clears, is there actually enough left to build a life?